and the Crawford Heritage Community Foundation is here to help you make the most of your charitable giving. We've partnered with hundreds of people like you to make our world and our community a better place. You can give through us to support scholarships or any charitable organization or purpose. Whether you're interested in establishing a permanent endowment or adding to an existing fund, we want to be a part of your plan. Contact us when you're ready to make your mark. Together, we can make your contribution go further.
If you're looking for a professional massage therapist, Tranquil Moments Massage in Titusville is here for you. Ray and Rauch graduated from Slippery Rock University with a bachelor's degree in exercise and rehabilitative sciences with an emphasis in athletic training. Tranquil Moments offers a wide range of services, from Swedish massage to deep tissue, sugar scrubs to hot towel inclusion therapy. Like them on Facebook and visit their website to learn more about all the services they offer. Tranquil Moments Massage in Titusville.
Thinking about switching to 5G home internet? Think again. Unlike Zoom from Armstrong, 5G home internet is delivered by a cell tower. The further away you are, or the more devices connected to that tower, the slower your internet is. Cell phone providers also play favorites. When their network gets busy, cell phones win, and your home internet pays the price. Stick with Armstrong to get more data, more speed, and internet whenever you need it, not whenever they want. Armstrong, keeping you connected.
J. Gill Plumbing and Heating takes pride in being the premier heating and air conditioning service provider in the area. With over 30 years of experience, our highly skilled and certified technicians will work closely with you to address your heating and air conditioning repair, installation, or maintenance needs. Our team is dedicated to making your home the ultimate place of comfort. Call today to get a free estimate. We also offer financing options and membership opportunities that provide peace of mind and cost savings. Call J. Gill Plumbing and Heating today or visit them online 24/7 at jgillplumbingheating.com.
Sheer Design is Titusville's exclusive Paul Mitchell-focused salon. This full-service salon specializes in coloring, cuts, nails, and tanning. Owner Angela Saxon has over 20 years' experience as a Paul Mitchell professional. She and her licensed staff offer all cuts and styles for men and women of all ages. Call 814-827-0010 or stop in at 116 South Kerr Street in Titusville.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Levin, and I proudly own and operate Puppy Levin. Puppy Levin is a pet care salon dedicated to caring for your furry companions. We provide certified dog grooming services along with boarding and doggy daycare. Our facility is family-owned and operated and promise personalized care for every pet that comes through our doors. If you're worried about your furry friend being lonely when you're gone, we also have on-site personnel 24/7 just for their comfort. Follow us on Facebook and call or text us at 814-758-9259 to make an appointment today.
Share the fun of train travel and relive our country's oil history as you ride the OC&T through the valley that changed the world. Learn about the past while traveling on vintage cars. See a variety of wildlife with stops at Drakewell Park, Petroleum Center, and Oil Creek State Park. Arrive early and see the vast collection of train and railroad memorabilia at Perry Street Station. After the ride, enjoy a night's stay at the Caboose Motel. For seasonal specials or for more information, visit octrr.org or call 814-676-1733.
Wall Street ended a choppy session barely changed on Monday, with the Dow adding about 0.3%, the S&P 500 finishing essentially flat, and the Nasdaq posting a fractional loss. Investors were awaiting key economic data and earnings from some of the largest U.S. companies. 4 of the so-called Magnificent Seven companies report results this week, including Apple, Amazon, Meta Platforms, and Microsoft. But Melissa Brown, Managing Director of Investment Decision Research at SimCorp, said it wasn't just earnings from those mega-cap tech giants that investors should be paying close attention to.
We have seen, people going out and buying cars. They probably have been going out and buying iPhones as well. But I think actually we're going to have to place a little bit more importance on the earnings of some non-Magnificent Seven companies, like the auto companies, because that's really, I think, going to tell us where the economy is likely to be headed. Apple, will probably have decent earnings no matter what.
Stocks on the move Monday included Nvidia, which ended 2% lower after the Wall Street Journal reported that China's Huawei Technologies was preparing to test its artificial intelligence processor, which it hopes can replace some of Nvidia's higher-end products. Shares of Boeing added almost 2.5%, helping to keep the Dow in positive territory after Bernstein raised the aircraft maker's stock rating and price target. And shares of Spirit Aerosystems advanced more than 2.5%, after Airbus reached a deal to take over some of the company's plants.
Well, happy Tuesday. We got quite the forecast for you for today. Mix of sun and clouds this morning, then strong thunderstorms this afternoon, damaging winds, large hail, possibly a tornado with some storms, and temperatures today in the upper 70s. Thunderstorms early this evening, then partly cloudy after midnight. A few storms may be severe early, and a low in the upper 30s. Wednesday, partly cloudy, low 60s. Thursday, some afternoon thunderstorms, upper 70s for a high. Friday, showers, upper 60s. Saturday, rain showers with temperatures in the upper 50s. There's the radar, and I want you to just pay attention to later this afternoon. You're going to see this green rain, and it's good. Yep, there it is, red. So that's what we're in for here later today. What's that?
I said that's where the fun begins.
That's where the fun begins. Yeah. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but just keep an eye out on that. Again, it's potential for severe storms later today. So just be aware and plan accordingly. Okay. Area temperatures real quick here this morning. Meadville waking up to 61 degrees. Cambridge Springs, Edinburgh at 62. 56 in Titusville. Franklin this morning at 60. Oil City 60 degrees here at 712.
Lovely morning, I'm feeling blessed. The sun is warming, the birds are making rest. Oh, it's such a lovely morning.
Well, it is a lovely morning. It's a beautiful start to the day. It's just what could happen later. Yeah. Welcome in on this 29th day of April, and getting you through the month here and almost into May. We're going to get right into birthdays and what we're celebrating here on this 29th day.
All right, comedian Jerry Seinfeld is 71 today.
Really?
Yes. Actor Daniel Day-Lewis is 68. Actress Michelle Pfeiffer is 67. Actress Eve Plum is 67. Actress Uma Thurman is 55. Actress Jody Gomez is 19. And that is all.
All right. Happy birthday to them. Happy birthday to you if today happens to be your birthday. From all of us here today, what are we celebrating?
It is AMKD Awareness Day, Dave Trees, International Dance Day, National Peace Rose Day, National Shrimp Scampi Day, National Supply Chain Day, National Zipper Day, Poem in Your Pocket Day, Viral Video Day, We Jump the World Day, World Wish Day, And that's it.
So find something there to celebrate.
Oh, it's actually also Willie Nelson's birthday today.
Today?
Yes.
You missed Willie Nelson.
I did. It wasn't on my list, but yeah.
Oh, Roddy. We have our youngest son loves Willie Nelson.
He's 92.
Wow. Still playing.
Yeah.
Still going out there hitting the road.
I went to a concert last year.
Yeah. Huh.
Our children went to see John Cougar Mellencamp, Neil Diamond, Willie Nelson. No, not Neil Diamond.
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan. That was it. Willie Nelson. I have no idea where Neil Diamond came from. I don't know.
Neil Diamond on your mind? I don't think. Do you want to go see Neil Diamond?
Not at all.
I think he's done.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So close. Good job.
I was close.
Yeah. All right. Let's find something there to celebrate. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let's go into some sports scores here from last night. Major League Baseball. Mets over the Nationals 19-5. Twins beat the Guardians 11-1. Orioles with the 4-3 win over the Yankees. Reds over the Cardinals 3-1. A's with the win over the Rangers 2-1. Astros beat the Tigers 8-5. Braves with the win over the Rockies 6-3. And it was the Dodgers over the Marlins in 10, 7-6, the final there. Baseball for today. At 6:10, it's the Guardians hosting the Twins. Orioles and Yankees at 6:35. Pirates in Pittsburgh taking on the Chicago Cubs at 6:40. Reds have the Cardinals at 6:40. Phillies and Nationals at 6:45. Rays and Royals at 7:05. 7:07 will feature the Blue Jays and Red Sox. Mets take on the Diamondbacks at 7:10. White Sox and Brewers at 7:40. Rangers take on the A's at 8:05. It's the Astros and the Tigers in Houston at 8:10. Rockies and Braves at 8:40. Padres and Giants at 9:40. And Mariners, hold on one second. Mariners, sorry about that. Mariners in the A's at 9:40 tonight in Seattle, and the Dodgers have the Marlins at 10:10 this evening. When you look at the National League Central Division standings, Pittsburgh still hanging out in the basement. Cubs at the top, and again, that's who they're playing today in Pittsburgh. 17-12 record. Cincinnati 16-13, Milwaukee 14-15, St. Louis 12-17, and Pittsburgh 11-18. American League Central Division. Cleveland was hanging out on top until Detroit overtook them with an 18-11 record. Then Cleveland at 15-13, Kansas City 14-15, Minnesota 13-16, the Chicago White Sox 7-21. Some crazy news out of the Penguins organization, and kind of excited to see what Bruce Peterson thinks of that Friday when we talked to him, Mr. Sports, because the Penguins announced, well, they say mutual parting of ways with head coach Mike Sullivan. That may not be the story, but Sullivan out as coach of the Penguins. NHL from last night, Panthers with the win over the Lightning 4-2. Panthers lead that series 3-1. Stars with a 6-2 win over the Avalanche, with the Stars leading that series 3-2. Then let's get into some NBA scores here. You had the Cavaliers with the win over the Miami Heat, 138-83. Cavaliers winning that series 4-0. Golden State with the win over the Rockets, 109-106. Warriors lead that series 3-1. Basketball action tonight. You've got the Pacers and the Bucks. Pacers lead that series 3-1. Knicks and Pistons with the Knicks leading that series 3-1. Celtics and Magic. Celtics lead that series 3-1. Nuggets and Clippers tonight at 10. That series is tied up 2 games apiece. So there's some basketball action for you for this evening. Again, we're watching that severe storm that's supposed to come through our area later this afternoon. We're keeping an eye out on that. We have a lot of additional headlines to bring you here this morning, including some healthcare related news and what that means for everybody as we bring you that story right now.
Pharmaceutical giants are bracing for tariffs, so what could that mean for the healthcare sector? This is Sectors Up Close, and we're talking healthcare. President Trump has promised to impose tariffs on pharmaceuticals, a sector that has been largely exempt from trade duties for decades. Drugs are Europe's #1 export to the US, as even US-traded firms make some weight loss injections, cancer treatments and vaccines in Europe. Recently, pharma giants have been trading at attractive valuations. Overall, the healthcare sector is almost totally flat this year, up 0.25 percentage point. Well, Nathan Moser is a senior portfolio manager at Impax. Nathan, hello. How damaging then could tariffs be on the pharmaceutical sector?
I think it's too early to tell. As you alluded to, tariffs are coming. The president and the administration are likely to impose Section 232 tariffs here in the next few weeks. The actual tariff rate will determine how negative the impact is, whether there's carve-outs. I think investors, as we sit here today, are likely going to wait before acting materially on hunches about how bad it could be. That said, any tariffs will be detrimental to the global pharmaceutical industry. As you mentioned, this is a global industry, so pharmaceutical ingredients are potentially impacted, and of course, the end products will be impacted as well. So what the challenge for investors is on one hand to balance the attractive valuation of the group, but on the other hand, the uncertainty around tariffs and eventually uncertainty around pricing itself.
Do you think then that investors should be careful of the sector in general now, or is it perhaps a reason to choose the US pharma companies over European ones, for example?
I think there are opportunities if investors are selective. Of course, some of the US names will be less exposed to the tariff threat. But as I alluded to, there is some pricing risk potentially coming down the road. The president historically has been upset around how high the cost of drugs in the United States are relative to the rest of the world. And so whether you want to call that most favorite nation pricing or some other form of price control, that is likely the next concern for investors. So in summary, the way I would look at it is if you're highly selective and have a longer term investment horizon, nibbling at the sector may make sense, but a blanket buy pharmaceuticals is probably not the right approach as we sit here today.
Nathan, we've also seen some nerves among investors in the biotech sector around policy changes, haven't we, after worries about delays to approval and substantial job cuts at the FDA. How worried should investors be about biotech?
So I think biotech, again, faces some of those issues from a regulatory concern perspective. The FDA has had tremendous turnover in terms of the folks that work there, in terms of the leadership. I'm actually more positive on biotech relative to pharma than many. I think investors who focus on innovation, focus on those biotechs that are helping solve unmet clinical need, I think those companies are well positioned. And the more you move down market cap, the more you get away from some of those bigger issues. They tend to fly underneath the radar of the administration, of the politicians. And I think there's real opportunity there. And then maybe last point, as you go down market cap, you also get the M&A potential. I do believe that we're at the very early stages of a multi-year boom in M&A for smaller biotech as big pharma and larger biotechs look to refill their pipelines.
I'd like to dig into both of those points, Nathan. I mean, firstly, opportunity as you move down market cap. A record 30% of smaller and mid-cap biotech firms are trading at or below cash. Isn't that just too risky?
Those are. For most investors, I wouldn't encourage them to buy those sorts of companies. Those tend to be venture capital-like. So if you buy 10, maybe one or two work out. But I think that is symptomatic of how negative investors have gotten on the space. And so what we have found is when you move up the quality side for companies that actually have products on the market or have clinical data in hand that suggests that they have potential blockbusters coming, I think those companies trade at remarkably cheap valuations versus where they were 3, 4, 5 years ago. And so that's why I'm much more positive on biotech.
You said you expect a lot of M&A in the sector. Where do you see good targets for acquisition, and who do you expect to do the buying?
Well, again, the buyers are fairly easy. That's going to be pharmaceuticals and larger biotechs. Those are the ones that have the dramatic need from a pipeline perspective. Any small biotech that has strong clinical data is a potential target. Obviously, areas like oncology, cardiology, those are areas that tend to be historically ripe for M&A activity. But it can be anywhere as long as the clinical data is supportive, because at the end of the day, many small biotechs are effectively put together to develop the science, prove out the science, and then look to a partner to help market that approved drug.
That was Nathan Moser of Inpax. Don't forget, you can watch more videos on Reuters.com.
Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday declared a 3-day ceasefire from May 8th to the 10th in its war with Ukraine. The 72-hour truce would coincide with Putin hosting international leaders for lavish celebrations to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the victory over Nazi Germany in World War II. Putin's move appeared aimed at signaling to the world that Russia is still interested in peace, something that Ukraine and its European allies dispute. On Monday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said U.S. President Donald Trump wants more than just a 3-day truce.
He wants to see a permanent ceasefire. I understand Vladimir Putin this morning offered a temporary ceasefire.
Speaking to reporters in New Jersey on Sunday, Trump said he was disappointed that Russia has continued to attack Ukraine.
I want to see what happens with respect to Russia, because Russia had been surprised and disappointed, very disappointed that they did the bombing of those places after discussions.
U.S. proposals on ending the 3-year war in Ukraine have called for Washington's recognition of Moscow's control over Crimea, as well as de facto recognition of Russia's hold on other parts of Ukraine. European and Ukrainian counterproposals, however, defer detailed discussion about territory until after a ceasefire is concluded.
What do you want Vladimir Putin to do? Well, I want him to stop shooting, sit down and sign a deal. And we have the confines of a deal, I believe, and I want him to sign it and be done with it and just go back to life.
Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in Rome for the funeral of Pope Francis, met in a Vatican basilica on Saturday to try to revive faltering efforts to end the war in Ukraine. After which, Trump suggested Zelensky was ready to give up Crimea, which Russia seized from it in 2014, as the price of a peace deal. But U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Sunday that the Trump administration might abandon its attempts to broker a deal if Russia and Ukraine do not make headway.
Whoever emerges from the coming conclave as the new leader of the $1.4 billion member Catholic Church will face a number of challenges. Among the pressing issues are a widening gap in Vatican finances, church attendees sliding in many Western countries, and difficult debates over issues like ordaining women as clergy and LGBTQ Catholic inclusion. The Vatican's financial crisis was one of Pope Francis's last headaches. 3 days before his last hospitalization in February, he ordered the creation of a new high-level commission to encourage donations. The Vatican is facing a budget shortfall and growing liabilities for its pension fund. Although it hasn't published a full budget report since 2022, the last set of accounts, approved in mid-2024, included a $94 million shortfall, according to 2 sources. The shortfall in the pension fund was estimated to total around $716 million by the Vatican's finance czar in 2022. There's been no official update to this figure, but several insiders told Reuters they believe it has ballooned. Across the world, the Catholic Church has grown slightly in membership in recent years. The highest proportion of Catholics are in the Americas, with 64.2% of the population in North and South America being baptized Catholic. Europe follows at 39.6%, Oceania with 25.9%. But generally, the rate of infant baptisms, a key indicator of growth for the faith, are highest in developing countries. Meanwhile, many European countries are experiencing declines. In terms of doctrinal disputes, Francis largely sought to open up the church to new conversations. Topics such as women's ordination, taboo for decades, were allowed to be debated. The Pope created 2 commissions to consider ordaining women as deacons. Francis also allowed for priests to bless same-sex couples on a case-by-case basis. His moves drew criticism from the conservative Catholics, including a few cardinals who feared he was watering down the faith. Some cardinals are now calling for a change of direction.
All right, your forecast for northwest Pennsylvania, partly cloudy to start. Severe storms expected today. And if you look at the radar, it's coming around early afternoon, 1, 2 o'clock. We start to see rain come through, but then severe weather coming through. We're going to have complete details coming up for you at 7:30. This is your latest headlines, sports, business, and that forecast coming up.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney declared victory in Monday night's federal elections and promised to take a tough line with Washington.
Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
However, Carney's party failed to form a majority government. Preliminary results showed his Liberals were elected or leading in at least 164 electoral districts. That's just short of the 172 they needed to form a majority. That all means Carney will have to deal with US President Donald Trump's tariff threats without the mandate he hoped for. Canada's ties with its southern neighbor were a focus of Carney's campaign, as well as his victory speech.
President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen. When I sit down with President Trump, it will be to discuss the future economic and security relationship between 2 sovereign nations. And it will be with our full knowledge that we have many other options than the United States to build prosperity for all Canadians.
In another press briefing, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre conceded defeat to Carney's Liberals.
Yes, we will do our job to hold the government to account.
Poilievre's right-of-centre Conservatives at one time were riding high in the polls on voter anxiety about the cost of living, housing and crime. In January, the Liberals trailed them by 20 percentage points. Then came the resignation of unpopular former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, as well as the defining issue, threats of tariffs and annexation from Trump. That set off a wave of patriotic support for Carney and his party. Monday completes the Liberal turnaround. Last week, Trump re-emerged as a campaign factor, declaring he might raise a 25% tariff on Canadian-made cars. And in a social media post Monday, Trump again made his call for Canada to become the 51st state, saying he might use what he called economic force.
Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over.
vehicle shopping? Make sure you check out Titusville Ford first. Shop our amazing selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in stock. Visit us on Route 8 in Titusville and see why our customer service is a cut above the rest. Titusville Ford, your hometown dealer.
Winter rages on in northwest Pennsylvania, and luckily Vanderhoof Heating and Air Conditioning is only a phone call away when your heating emergency strikes. Whether it's residential or light commercial, new construction, repair, or replacement, Vanderhoof has the experience to get the job done right. Call today to set up an appointment or visit the Vanderhoof website to learn more. At Vanderhoof Heating and Air Conditioning, we look forward to fulfilling all of your HVAC needs and projects now and into the future. Vanderhoof Heating and Air Conditioning in Titusville.
Marsh Home Center Furniture, Appliances, and Bedding is located at 305 East Spring Street in Titusville. Marsh Home Center welcomes you in to explore their growing inventory of name brand furniture, appliances, and bedding. Need something not currently in stock? No problem. Order from Marsh's online catalog and have it delivered right to your door. Visit Marsh's to see their entire showroom. Ask questions, see what items are on sale, or just stop in and say hi. Marsh Home Center Furniture, Appliances, and Bedding, behind Giant Eagle in Titusville.
Looking for expert orthopedic care? Dr. Charlie Gates, a trusted name at Titusville Area Hospital, can help you regain mobility and a better quality of life. With years of experience and a passion for personalized care, Dr. Gates specializes in treating a wide range of orthopedic conditions. Whether it's joint pain, sports injuries, or orthopedic surgery, trust Dr. Charlie Gates at Titusville Area Hospital for your orthopedic care. Call 814-827-9770 today to schedule your appointment.
Welcome to Inspire Med Spa, the place you know and love for massages, Botox, laser resurfacing, and semi-permanent makeup. Now we're offering even more, including laser hair removal, tattoo removal, and hair rejuvenation. Our team is here to provide expert care in a peaceful, luxurious environment designed with your relaxation in mind. And with our newly added services, now you can get all your beauty services in one place. Visit Inspire Med Spa today, because you deserve to look and feel your best.
Interstate Pipe and Supply takes pride in providing superior customer service. That's why our dedicated employees are well trained and have the experience to offer friendly, quick, and reliable service and support. Need materials delivered to your job site? No problem. Interstate offers fast delivery from our 4 locations in Western Pennsylvania. We also serve Eastern Ohio, Northern Western Virginia, and Western New York. Service means business at Western Pennsylvania's premier pipe and supply company, Interstate Pipe and Supply.
Whether you want to go and lead in your craft in the trades, whether you want to go and be that nurse or medical worker and have a real impact on lives, or whether you want to go and help that business improve its bottom line, this is the place. And now is your time to go with confidence, to go with skill, to go succeed. The Education and Training Center at Pitt Titusville.
I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us, but try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same. But you have excuses because you're old, so it's okay.
Listening is a form of love. Find ways to support your kids at sounditouttogether.org.
It's Chevy Truck Month at Community Chevrolet, your Silverado headquarters. So we're getting out the Price Slicer.
Please handle with caution.
This truck month, save more than $9,000 off the new Chevy Silverado 1500 Custom Crew. More than $4,000 off the Silverado 1500 Crew Cab Custom. And more than $2,500 off the 2500.
With 3.9% financing for 5 human years.
The Price Slicer's out all truck month, only at Community Chevrolet.
Hi, I'm Heather Roberts, and I'm running to be your next magisterial district judge. I was born and raised right here in Titusville and went on to earn a degree from Penn State University in crime, law, and justice. I began my career in victim services, working with survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, helping them to navigate the justice system with strength, compassion, and dignity. Today, I work as a paralegal in family and personal injury law. I'm a proud mom of 3, and my husband Jack and I are proud to call Titusville home. I humbly ask for your vote and your support on May 20th at the primary election. Thank you.
Wall Street ended a choppy session barely changed on Monday, with the Dow adding about 0.3%, the S&P 500 finishing essentially flat, and the Nasdaq posting a fractional loss. Investors were awaiting key economic data and earnings from some of the largest U.S. companies. 4 of the so-called Magnificent Seven companies report results this week, including Apple, Amazon, Meta Platforms, and Microsoft. But Melissa Brown, managing director of investment decision research at SimCorp, said it wasn't just earnings from those mega-cap tech giants that investors should be paying close attention to.
So we have seen, people going out and buying cars. They probably have been going out and buying iPhones as well. But I think actually we're going to have to place a little bit more importance on the earnings of some non-Magnificent Seven companies, like the auto companies, because that's really, I think, going to tell us where the economy is likely to be headed. Apple, will probably have decent earnings no matter what.
Stocks on the move Monday included Nvidia, which ended 2% lower after the Wall Street Journal reported that China's Huawei Technologies was preparing to test its artificial intelligence processor, which it hopes can replace some of Nvidia's higher-end products. Shares of Boeing added almost 2.5%, helping to keep the Dow in positive territory after Bernstein raised the aircraft maker's stock rating and price target. And shares of Spirit Aerosystems advanced more than 2.5%, after Airbus reached a deal to take over some of the company's plants.
100 days into President Trump's second term, tariffs have upended the global economy. President Trump marks 100 days into his second term on Wednesday, with the global economy reeling from tariffs that are still uncertain, as the US administration says it's holding trade talks with China that Beijing denies are happening. Carsten Brusky is Global Head of Macro at ING Research. Carsten, do you detect a backing down of the Trump administration's trade rhetoric in recent days? Is that happening?
Yeah, I think that's what had been happening over the last 5 weeks or 4 weeks. Clearly, there was a bit this motive of Sell America Inc. So we saw capital coming over to Europe, clearly. Is this now really a trend that will continue? I'm always very cautious in extrapolating just a couple of weeks into the distant future. What it means is there was a fear factor going on in the U.S. I think also investors realizing that these tariffs are going to hurt the U.S. economy. They're going to bring higher inflation, lower growth in the U.S. Plus, the uncertainty also created some concerns about the rule of law in the US and made other parts of the world more attractive.
Is that rising euro good for Europe's economy, though, or does it risk making Europe's exports too expensive?
Indeed. Europe never really likes a strengthening of its own currency. However, we're coming from a very weak euro exchange rate, and where we stand right now, at least vis-a-vis the dollar, is still not a threatening high or strong level of the euro. I think what is more concerning for European policymakers is that the trade-weighted euro exchange rate is also at a record high. And this means, indeed, bad news for European exporters, because it is to some extent, it is an additional tariff. It is an additional tax and will further complicate exports. On the other hand, it leaves more room for the European Central Bank to continue cutting rates, because the stronger euro is clearly another disinflationary factor that will allow the ECB to continue cutting rates.
That was Carsten Brusky of ING. Don't forget, you can watch more videos on Reuters.com.
U.S. President Donald Trump's administration will move to reduce the impact of his automotive tariffs on Tuesday. Officials said that could include alleviating some duties imposed on foreign parts in domestically manufactured cars and keeping tariffs on cars made abroad from piling on top of other ones. In a statement provided by the White House, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick called the deal a, quote, major victory for the president's trade policy. The Wall Street Journal, in a report confirmed by the White House, said the move meant car companies paying tariffs would not be charged other levies, such as those on steel and aluminum, and that reimbursements would be given for such tariffs that were already paid. The CEOs of General Motors and Ford praised the planned changes, which are expected to be made official on Tuesday, the same day Trump will travel to Michigan, home to the Detroit 3 automakers. Trump had earlier said he planned to impose tariffs of 25% on auto parts no later than May 3rd. The move to soften the effects of auto levies is the latest by his administration to show some flexibility on tariffs, which have rocked financial markets, created uncertainty for businesses, and sparked fears of a sharp economic slowdown.
Adidas warned about higher US import tariffs and uncertainty around trade on Tuesday. The German sportswear giant said it was clouding its forecast and making it difficult to plan. CEO Bjorn Gulden said the company would have hiked its revenue and profit guidance for this year after strong first quarter results. But tariff uncertainty meant it decided to hold back. Adidas expects the blanket increase in US tariffs to eventually cause price increases across all its products. However, it said it was currently impossible to quantify those or to establish the likely impact on US consumer demand. Golden added Adidas has already reduced exports of China-made goods to the US to a minimum. He said it is still somewhat exposed to much higher US tariffs on Chinese goods. Unexpectedly high US tariffs on Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam and Indonesia came as a surprise to sportswear brands, although they were paused until July. The companies make most of their sneakers and clothing there. Adidas said it would strive to ensure US retail partners and consumers get products at the best possible price. It further said it would try to compensate for uncertainty in the US by boosting its performance in the rest of the world. First quarter sales rose 14% in Europe and 13% in Greater China and were up just over a quarter in Latin America. Sales in North America increased just 3%, which Adidas said was due to the phase-out of its Yeezy sneaker line. Adidas stuck to its full-year guidance, but warned uncertainties could put negative pressure on this later in the year.
Domino's Pizza on Monday posted a surprise decline in first-quarter same-store sales in the U.S. as elevated inflation and economic uncertainty hit consumer appetite for restaurant food. Also, restaurant traffic slowed in February and March as consumer sentiment weakened, mainly due to President Donald Trump's erratic trade policy, which has raised fears of a recession. The company's U.S. delivery business also took a hit as lower-income consumers tempered spending, executives said on a post-earnings call. Shares fell as much as 3% in morning trading, though they have climbed nearly 17% so far in 2025. Domino's did reiterate its 3% annual growth target for U.S. comparable sales, but said if the current economic uncertainty persisted, it could prevent the company from achieving its target. One analyst told Reuters he expects better performance from the chain in the second half of the year. Domino's debuts its partnership with DoorDash in May that will allow users to place orders through the aggregator platform. Profit did top estimates in the first quarter, though U.S. margins fell because of higher food prices.
And full thrust.
After years of waiting, Amazon has finally launched its Kuiper internet satellites. The tech giant launched its first 27 satellites into low Earth orbit from Florida on Monday, kicking off deployment of a broadband from space network. It's a big bet that pits it against telecoms providers around the globe, as well as Elon Musk's Starlink. These are the first of over 3,200 satellites Amazon plans to launch for Project Kuiper, a $10 billion effort. Like Starlink, Amazon has positioned Kuiper as a boon to rural areas where connectivity is sparse or doesn't exist. The launch of its first satellites, originally planned for early 2024, was delayed by over a year. U.S. regulators want half the satellites launched by the middle of next year, but given delays so far, experts think Amazon might request an extension. Project Kuiper has had a late start in the market for space, which is dominated by Musk's SpaceX. Amazon believes its product and cloud experience will give it an edge over Starlink. Executive Chairman Jeff Bezos has voiced confidence that Kuiper can compete, telling Reuters in a January interview, quote, "There's insatiable demand for internet. There's room for lots of winners there. I predict Starlink will continue to be successful, and I predict Kuiper will be successful as well." Amazon is expected to confirm contact with all the satellites from its Redmond control center within days. The company said it expects to begin delivering service to customers later this year, if all goes as planned.
Today, as I'm standing here, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation, and the numbers prove it.
U.S. President Donald Trump's border czar Tom Homan touted the administration's immigration crackdown on Monday, despite concerns over due process, as photos of 100 charged or convicted people were displayed on the White House lawn. U.S. Border Patrol arrested 7,200 migrants illegally crossing the border in March, the lowest monthly total since 2000, and down from a peak of 250,000 in December 2023. However, deportations remain below last year's levels under President Joe Biden, when there were more people illegally crossing the border who could be quickly returned. Though Trump has moved to strip legal immigration status from hundreds of thousands of people, increasing the pool of those who can potentially be deported. Democrats and civil rights advocates have criticized Trump's heightened enforcement tactics, including the cases of several U.S. citizen children recently deported with their parents, including one with a rare form of cancer, according to the American Civil Liberties Union. Homan blamed the parents for putting their children at risk of deportation by remaining in the U.S.
If you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position.
On Friday, U.S. officials arrested a Wisconsin judge and charged her with helping a man in her court briefly evade immigration authorities. That triggered backlash from immigrant rights advocates who raised concerns that immigrant victims may not feel safe in courthouses. Homan defended the arrest, saying the administration would enforce laws prohibiting harboring of a person in the U.S. illegally.
You will be prosecuted, judge or not.
The administration is now preparing to target cities and states that limit cooperation with federal immigration enforcement. White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt said Trump is signing an executive order Monday that calls for the Attorney General to identify cities and states failing to comply with federal immigration laws.
Israel faced accusations at the World Court on Monday of breaking international law by refusing to let aid into Gaza. Since March the 2nd, Israel has completely cut off all supplies to the 2.3 million residents of the Gaza Strip, where food stockpiled during a ceasefire at the start of the year has all but run out. Opening the hearings at the International Court of Justice, the United Nations legal counsel Eleanor Hammarskjöld listed Israel's obligations under international humanitarian law as the occupying power in Gaza,
including those set up by United Nations entities.
While Palestinian Representative Ahmad Hijazi accused Israel of using aid as a weapon of war.
It is about Israel unraveling fundamental principles of international law, including their obligations under the UN Charter. It is about Israel turning Palestine, in particularly Gaza, into a mass grave for Palestinians and those coming to their aid.
Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar told reporters in Jerusalem his country had submitted its position in writing to the hearings, saying it would not take part in what he called a circus.
It is another attempt to politicize and abuse the legal process in order to persecute Israel.
Israel has said it would not allow the entry of supplies into Gaza until Hamas releases all remaining hostages. It has accused Hamas of hijacking humanitarian aid, which the militant group denies. The UN's top court was tasked in December to form an advisory opinion on Israel's obligations to facilitate aid to Palestinians. Dozens of countries will take part in the hearings over the coming week. William Worcester, who teaches international law at the Hague University of Applied Sciences, said the court's decision will have an immediate impact on Israel's actions in Gaza.
The larger implications, though, is that we will know better, do states, when they occupy another territory outside, do they have to let the UN in? Do they have to let aid in? And that will have very profound implications for how states interact into the future. Think about states that are currently occupying other territory. Think about states that may wish to occupy other states' territory.
After the hearings, the court will likely take several months to form its opinion. However, while the opinion carries legal and political weight, it is not binding, and the court has no enforcement powers.
Big tech firms take the spotlight this week on Wall Street as the likes of Apple, Amazon, Meta and Microsoft are all set to report. It's Monday, 28th April, and here's what you need to know. Well, it's not just those big tech firms that are reporting. Energy giants are also up, the likes of BP, Shell, Chevron and ExxonMobil. Now, what these firms have to say on tariffs and the state of the global economy are likely to be watched extremely closely. Now, over the past week, sentiment for equities seems to have lifted as the Trump administration seems to have softened its trade stance. But overnight, Asian equities only edged up very slightly. European shares have started modestly higher, but on Wall Street, futures are pointing to another mixed start. Our chart of the day takes us to the UK. It's Deliveroo's share price. It jumped as much as 16% in early trade this morning. Why? Well, it received an offer from US firm DoorDash worth $3.6 billion on Friday. The British meal delivery firm also said that it was going to suspend its £100 million share buyback scheme this morning. Our stock of the day is Starbucks. The coffee chain offered its workers a 2% annualised pay rise, but that was rejected by the union. Workers United said that 81% of its representatives of the 550 unionised stores turned down the offer that did not include any changes to benefits such as healthcare or any immediate pay rise. Our number of the day is $2.72 trillion. That's the total amount of world military spending last year. That was an increase of 9.4% from 2023. In fact, that's the steepest year-on-year rise since the end of the Cold War. The data was compiled by the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. It said that the figures reflected the heightened geopolitical tensions both in the Middle East and Europe. And Canadians go to the polls today. Up until the return of President Trump and in particular his tariffs, the ruling Liberal Party was on the ropes. But earlier this year, Mark Carney took over from Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister. And according to many opinion polls, the party is now leading the opposition Conservatives. And that's what you need to know this morning.
All right, let's take a look at that weather forecast for northwest Pennsylvania. Now, here's the radar showing that band of severe storms rolling through our region later this afternoon, early afternoon into this evening. Mix of clouds and sun this morning, strong thunderstorms this afternoon, damaging winds, large hail, possibly a tornado with some storms, and temperatures today in the upper 70s. Thunderstorms early tonight, then partly cloudy after midnight. A few storms may be severe early on this evening, with lows in the upper 30s. On into Wednesday, partly cloudy skies with highs in the low 60s. Thursday, the 1st of May, some afternoon thunderstorms, upper 70s. Friday, showers, upper 60s. And Saturday, rain showers with temperatures in the upper 50s. Meadville this morning at 65 degrees. Cambridge Springs, Edinburgh at 66. Titusville, 56. Franklin this morning, 63. Oil City, 57 degrees here this morning. So again, looking at that radar for later this afternoon, just be aware of the situation and just know when you're heading out, this is what you could be dealing with later today. So we just want everybody to be safe out there. We're coming up on 8 o'clock here this morning. Great local programming right here on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. Third hour continues with great guests. We've got Joe Roddy coming up in the 8 o'clock. We've got Gary Glunt joining us after the 8:30 news here this morning. This is the Morning Drill. You're watching it on Stream TV and on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. A lot to talk about in the world of technology, Joe. Amazon sending satellites up, competing with Starlink. Boy, there's just so many places to go here this morning, and I know you've got a list of great things, so we're looking forward to catching up with Joe Tech here. All right, again, if you're heading out later today, just be careful and know that we got severe weather heading our way this afternoon.
States. A relationship based on steadily increasing integration is over.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney declared victory in Monday night's federal elections and promised to take a tough line with Washington.
Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
However, Carney's party failed to form a majority government. Preliminary results showed his Liberals were elected or leading in at least 164 electoral districts. That's just short of the 172 they needed to form a majority. That all means Carney will have to deal with US President Donald Trump's tariff threats without the mandate he hoped for. Canada's ties with its southern neighbor were a focus of Carney's campaign, as well as his victory speech.
President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen. When I sit down with President Trump, it will be to discuss the future economic and security relationship between two sovereign nations. And it will be with our full knowledge that we have many other options than the United States to build prosperity for all Canadians.
In another press briefing, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre conceded defeat to Carney's Liberals.
Yes, we will do our job to hold the government to account.
Poilievre's right-of-centre Conservatives at one time were riding high in the polls on voter anxiety about the cost of living, housing and crime. In January, the Liberals trailed them by 20 percentage points. Then came the resignation of unpopular former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, as well as the defining issue, threats of tariffs and annexation from Trump. That set off a wave of patriotic support for Carney and his party. Monday completes the Liberal turnaround. Last week, Trump re-emerged as a campaign factor, declaring he might raise a 25% tariff on Canadian-made cars. And in a social media post Monday, Trump again made his call for Canada to become the 51st state, saying he might use what he called economic force.
Thinking about switching to 5G home internet? Think again. Unlike Zoom from Armstrong, 5G home internet is delivered by a cell tower. The further away you are, or the more devices connected to that tower, the slower your internet is. Cell phone providers also play favorites. When their network gets busy, cell phones win, and your home internet pays the price. Stick with Armstrong to get more data, more speed, and internet whenever you need it, not whenever they want. Armstrong, keeping you connected.
Are you tired of juggling multiple pill bottles? Titusville Express Pharmacy has your solution, now offering compliance packaging. Your medication sorted and sealed by dose, making it easier than ever to stay on track. In a hurry? Take advantage of our convenient drive-through service. We also offer free local delivery for those that qualify. Titusville Express Pharmacy, where convenience meets care. Visit us today at 401 West Spring Street in Titusville. Simplify your medication routine with Titusville Express Pharmacy.
Poppy's Equipment and Storage Rental in Pleasantville is committed to providing our customers with exceptional service while offering quality rental equipment. Poppy's is now an authorized steel dealer with everything you need to have for sawing and cutting or mowing to digging. And of course, Poppy's has tents, tables, chairs, heaters, generators, barbecues, and more for your next wedding or get-together. Need firewood or propane? No problem. Whether you're in construction or a weekend warrior, reach out to Poppy's about your next project. Poppy's Place on the Tenesta Road in Pleasantville. Community Connect Federal Credit Union, serving Crawford, Venango, Forest, and Warren counties. Their mission is to provide quality, low-cost, and personal financial products for the growth and security of their members and families. Stop in, call, or visit our website, communityconnectfcu.com, and click Join to get started. Community Connect Federal Credit Union, 1050 East Spring Street in Titusville.
For a unique shopping experience with great gift ideas, decor, and so much more, come check out what Titusville Market Square's nearly 100 vendors have to offer. Featuring unique items from local agribusiness, craftsmen, and vendors. We also offer products from 4 regional dairies, including a full line of Titusville dairy products. We carry a complete line of Amish wedding products, local honey, and maple syrup, as well as nostalgic Dog and Suds root beer and Fiestada pizzas. Don't forget to pick up fresh Clark's Donuts, delivered daily. Titusville Market Square, the new name in one-stop shopping.
Who can solve this equation?
Ooh! Me.
Anyone else? Fine. Jake from State Farm. Again.
All right. It's the personal price plan theorem. If you bundle your home and auto, that can equal an affordable price just for you. Bundling. Just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Fat Chad's Brewing is Titusville's premier dining destination, offering fine dining served with a cold beverage and great conversations. Try our new menu items, the T-bone steak, homemade meatloaf dinner, or soft shell crab tacos. Our pasta entries and sandwiches are just as popular. Try the new lobster ravioli, shrimp and scallop pasta, or our popular Asiago chicken. Don't forget about our famous burgers or fish sandwich, all served with fresh cut fries. Come in Saturday nights for Wild Game Saturdays. For good food and good times, it's Fat Chad's Brewing in Titusville.
For over 11 years, Triple M Roofing has been providing Amish quality craftsmanship and work ethic that you can rely on. Pole barns, decks, porches, siding, and almost all roofing needs, Triple M Roofing will get the job done on time without sacrificing quality or the promise to deliver within your budget. Call today for a free estimate, 814-964-0472. Waiting is what you'll do with the other guys. Getting it done is what we do. Amish owned and operated, we're Triple M Roofing.
Hi, I'm Heather Roberts, and I'm running to be your next magisterial district judge. I was born and raised right here in Titusville and went on to earn a degree from Penn State University in crime, law, and justice. I began my career in victim services, working with survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, helping them to navigate the justice system with strength, compassion, and dignity. Today, I work as a paralegal in family and personal injury law. I'm a proud mom of 3, and my husband Jack and I are proud to call Titusville home. I humbly ask for your vote and your support on May 20th at the primary election. Thank you.
And full dress.
After years of waiting, Amazon has finally launched its Kuiper internet satellites. The tech giant launched its first 27 satellites into low Earth orbit from Florida on Monday, kicking off deployment of a broadband from space network. It's a big bet that pits it against telecoms providers around the globe, as well as Elon Musk's Starlink. These are the first of over 3,200 satellites Amazon plans to launch for Project Kuiper, a $10 billion effort. Like Starlink, Amazon has positioned Kuiper as a boon to rural areas where connectivity is sparse or doesn't exist. The launch of its first satellites, originally planned for early 2024, was delayed by over a year. U.S. regulators want half the satellites launched by the middle of next year, but given delays so far, experts think Amazon might request an extension. Project Kuiper has had a late start in the market for space, which is dominated by Musk's SpaceX. Amazon believes its product and cloud experience will give it an edge over Starlink. Executive Chairman Jeff Bezos has voiced confidence that Kuiper can compete, telling Reuters in a January interview, quote, "There's insatiable demand for internet. There's room for lots of winners there. I predict Starlink will continue to be successful, and I predict Kuiper will be successful as well." Amazon is expected to confirm contact with all the satellites from its Redmond Control Center within days. The company said it expects to begin delivering service to customers later this year, if all goes as planned.
Well, joining us this morning, we've got Mr. Joe Tech with us. Joe Roddy is here. Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Great. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you, too.
Great story there.
Yeah.
Amazon competing with Starlink, and I don't mean that in a negative way, other than competition usually can maybe lower pricing, and I think Starlink has been very successful giving people in rural parts of our country internet access, and people that like to go on adventures according to their ads. RVing.
Well,
and
there have been a lot of folks who have RVs that will get the models that you can
roam,
and that's been really nice for them. Although, I mean, is it really camping if you got your internet and your TV? I mean,
that's right.
There's varying degrees of.
Well, maybe do some work out in the wilderness. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
We could do the show. Take
we
the show
could.
on the road. I've been wanting to do that, like the summer adventure. Like take a week or two and just every morning
be somewhere different. Yeah, that would be pretty interesting. Yeah.
It's usually about this time every year. I think, we should do that. And there's really no time to plan.
And the next thing you know, it's like we're getting ready for football.
Yeah,
we're
which is
busy.
100 and some days away.
Yes, I know that's on your mind already.
But no, it's just fascinating, and I think Bezos has a good mindset. Like, Starlink's still going to be successful. There's room for
absolutely.
It's not like many people are doing this.
No, not. So I didn't hear. Was that their own Blue Origin or rockets that took them up, or
good question?
I mean, I certainly don't think they want to hop a ride on SpaceX, but
and would SpaceX let them do that?
I mean, if there's money in it,
perhaps.
But
I don't know if they'd let a competitor do that.
Yeah, I don't.
But that's a really good point, Joe. And I'm wondering, like, are they more just the tourist side of things?
Well, I thought
up and
they
down,
had,
or are they doing
thought they
more?
had more.
Okay.
I thought they had the tourist side, but they also have stuff that they can go up into. But I don't know. Especially with Boeing kind of being grounded after they, had issues and stranded astronauts at the International Space Station. I don't know what they're doing in that space right now. So, and again, like the internet satellites, there's not a lot of competitors. It's not like you can just I don't like that Ford, I'm going to go down the street to the Chevy dealer, and there's not a lot of competition.
Well, fascinating thing about Boeing too is not only the issues they've had, but now you got tariffs and you got countries saying we're not going to buy from them. I mean, there's a lot going on right now.
But the final question with Amazon sending satellites into space, I kind of half jokingly asked you off the air, but it's kind of an interesting question. If I've got Amazon Prime, can I just make that another piece of, can you make that a piece of Prime somehow? I suspect that it will be a separate subscription, but could you get a discount if you've got Amazon Prime as well? I don't know. There's a lot of perks with Amazon Prime, or maybe it's just if you've got the subscription to the internet plus Prime, you get a little bit better speed or something along those lines.
So
more storage.
Yeah. So when we this is going to be a plug for a couple things here. One, when we're doing sports, the absolute best connection possible for us when we do in a game is like Armstrong.
Yes.
You're connected. It's solid. That's the best.
That's hardwired.
Hardwired.
Yes, absolutely.
When we're on the road and we don't have internet access, we're relying on cell companies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this past year, we got a Starlink, the Roam, the Starlink Mini. It's been kind of hit or miss, but we did a baseball game last week. We did softball last night, and it was flawless.
Yeah. Nice, wide open area.
Yes,
helps.
So that helps.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of challenges, I think. Oh, and to answer your point, how about this? 3,200 spacecrafts eventually will make up this Kuiper project. A United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket lifted
Say that
off
one
from
more time?
the Atlas V, or the Atlas V rocket, lifted off from Florida's Cape Canaveral, launching the.
I don't know whose that is.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
So they hitched a ride with
somebody.
But that's a really good point. Like, if you're doing this, why aren't your rockets?
Yeah, yeah. Why didn't Katy Perry just push one out when they were up there? I mean,
yeah,
I don't understand.
Could have left her up there.
Maybe it would have caused a few less controversies if they had actually done something when they were up there, other than let their butterflies float around.
There's been some funny memes.
There's been a lot of funny memes. There's a lot of people with way too much time on their hands.
Yeah. Somebody said, "Hey, I'm in the bathtub. I'm a submarine operator now. I'm an
Olympic swimmer."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, on the less lighthearted side, I hate, Luke, that our tech news almost every week deals with a court case.
Oh,
but we have another one. Ziff Davis, who is a media company, CNET, who else? Lifehacker, which is one of my favorites, Mashable, ZDNet. They have gone and sued ChatGPT. Against OpenAI, essentially, in Delaware federal court, alleging that OpenAI used its copyrighted content, Ziff Davis's copyrighted content, without authorization to train the AI model that powers ChatGPT. So I think there have been other companies, but Ziff Davis is kind of a big name and a big player in that space, and they have a lot of different media outlets. So it's the first that I'm aware of, the first big name that I'm aware of that's really pushing this to the fore and saying what you did was illegal. And I don't know. Again, this is looking ahead, assuming that they win that case. I don't know what can be done. It's more likely that OpenAI would have to license get a license from these publishers to be able to use their data to train their large language models. So essentially, they would have to pay Ziff Davis some amount of money. So that's a big if. That's a long way to go before anything would happen. But it's interesting to see that a big name is out there saying, no, we're not cool with this, and
So I was talking Thursday night with a patent attorney.
Oh, really?
And we were playing around with the software that I used for creating some things for this show.
Okay.
And I said to him, I said, there's just in this industry so much debate over rights and ownership and all that. And he's like, yeah, if you punch in just keywords and it makes a song for you,
yeah,
you can't really claim that.
Yeah.
But if you write all the words, then there is partial ownership with that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just crazy and messy and and especially when you've got, and again, we've talked about this, I think, quite a while ago, but people are borrowing things all the time from other people, or they see something and maybe not directly stealing, but it's a form of flattery, right?
Yes.
Or there's trends.
Mm-hmm.
So you go, okay, this is what we want, this to look like or do, and it's copying a little bit.
Yeah.
But with this stuff, man, it's just I don't know. It's the legality of everything.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine trying to sift through all that stuff.
I can't either. Yeah, and it's a whole different space because it's not like it's not like you're directly copying, but you're using the knowledge of all those things. But isn't that what musicians do? Is use their knowledge, their breadth of knowledge of the space that they're in to create new?
Yeah.
So I mean.
So would a difference, Joe, be if you and I saw something and we're like, okay, let's adapt that for us? We have that soul in us to know what is directly copying and what is maybe a variation, right?
Yeah.
Whereas ChatGPT, all this OpenAI, where they're saying they don't have that. It's just, here's what's out there, and we're just pulling everything together.
Yeah. I mean, that could be an argument that's made, but I don't know. It's such a weird area that I'm not even sure.
And then OpenAI is interested in Google Chrome.
Yeah, everybody's interested in Google Chrome. Okay. Yahoo wants Google Chrome. But yes, OpenAI is very interested because it's got that built-in user base for one, but it would be a very nice landing place for them to integrate, ChatGPT into. So yeah, they would be a very high bidder in my opinion.
Wow.
But a lot of people are going to be, if Google has to sell that off, it's going to be a huge number because I would say that Google Chrome is one of the, if not the most widely used browser, and people are going to want that. Because a lot of users are just going to stay with it.
Are we talking like Twitter type of cache?
I think more.
Yeah.
I think it could be
We're not
way
talking
more
a
valuable
couple billion.
than
We're
Twitter.
talking like...
Oh, yeah. We're talking billions.
Over 50 billion?
I would say over 50
What was Twitter? 45, 50, 60?
I think 44 or something like that.
Billion dollars.
Yeah. No, I if it were me, I would value it way higher than Twitter. You got more active users. You got, a whole ecosystem. I mean, I don't.
But Google's not going to go down without swinging.
Oh, goodness, no.
Okay.
No. OpenAI, the time that it's going to take, OpenAI would be better to just create their own. I mean, they're going to have to wait a long time to even know if it's for sale. And then that sale is going to take 6 months to a year. It's going to take a long time.
Wow. You're watching The Morning Drill on Stream TV and on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. Joe Tech with us here this morning.
I'm tired already, Luke. Jeez.
I'll tell you what, we were on the road yesterday for a project, and then we did softball last night. I got home last night. I swear, I was like, it's got to be Thursday. No, it's just Monday.
It's only, it's just Tuesday still.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else can we talk about? Oh, since we're talking about large language models, you know what they're really not good at? Stock trading.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, so do not use large language models to determine what...
predicting stock?
Yeah, predicting stock,
okay.
Yeah. So some AI researchers, Gary Smith, Valentina Lieberman, and Isaac Warshaw of the Walter Bradley Center for Natural and Artificial Intelligence posed a series of 12 financial questions to 4 leading large language models. OpenAI's ChatGPT 4.0, DeepSeek V2, Grok 3 Beta, and Google's Gemini 2. So to sum up what they said, each chatbot proved to be consistently verbose, but often incorrect. So they sound like they know what they're doing, but they don't.
Yeah.
It sounds like somebody else I know on CNBC, maybe. What's that guy? I forget his name.
Jim Cramer?
Yeah, Jim Cramer.
Okay. The guy that yells all the time?
Yeah, the guy that yells all the time. Yes, that guy.
Okay.
I don't know that he's very accurate sometimes either.
Hey, and keep it along these lines. Apparently saying please and thank you on ChatGPT costs millions of dollars.
Costs millions of dollars. Every time you interact with those large language models, they have to respond which means they do a search and determine how to respond to your query. So it takes millions of dollars.
Who's
so
paying
yes,
for it?
please don't. ChatGPT is, and the people that pay for their pay versions.
Okay.
So their subscription pays for that.
Is there, I don't know, have you done much research? Is there a big difference? I'm sure there's some free models out there that are limited, right?
There are a lot of free models out there. I've played with a couple, but not a lot. But what they do is if you do it too much, they say, oh, no, you can't do that. You got to, or if you want it to do something specific, they'll be like, no, you have to pay for that model. So it's depending on what you're doing, you can get by with the free version. There are some researchers out there that say, no, these are really good, and you could, if you use it on the regular, pay for these different things. And there are those folks out there that test them out and rate them and say which ones are the best. But for most people, I think the free version is plenty.
The other crazy thing that people are doing with AI, they're turning their pets into humans.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so if you had a cat, well, I'll show you. This is somebody that said, okay, what would my cat look like if it was a human?
Oh, no.
Yeah. I don't think that's close, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't. That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say have you seen the animals that step on the little, they look like those lights that you put in, the press lights.
Oh, yeah.
But they lay them on the floor and they're different colors and the animals can touch on them and then they say things, what they want.
Oh.
So you can train your dog when he wants to go out, he pushes that certain, it says out, and you go let the dog out. So I thought that's what you were going with.
My dog just comes up to us and nudges.
Yeah.
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 Very smart dog. I'm amazed all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, anything else, Joe?
I see we're just about out of time. No, I think that's about it. Yeah. New batteries are coming out all the time, and I save these articles all the time, but I never bring them up because I don't know when we're actually going to see them.
Okay.
So there's, research and development, if you read the articles about the cutting edge, it's like, oh, yes, this one, EV battery that charges as fast as pumping gas. Great. That's what we want. But, I don't know when we're actually going to see this. Right now, even if I were to buy an EV, I'd probably end up buying a used EV that's still going to be the old tech, and it's going to take forever. So, CATL is quickly becoming one of the largest battery manufacturers in the world, and it's something that they've been working on, and it's hopefully we'll see this, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
The key thing we talked about here, I think, today, and this is going to feed into our next guest, is do not use ChatGPT, OpenAI to predict the stock market.
Yes.
Okay.
Be careful with what you use ChatGPT for. You may get sued. No, you won't. But ChatGPT will.
But not very good at predicting things.
Not very good at predicting things, no. If you need to write generic things, sure, go ahead. If you need generic information, sure, go ahead. But yeah, don't buy stocks based on what a large language model tells you, please.
Or Jim Cramer, as you said.
Or Jim Cramer,
okay,
yeah.
There you go. We're going to hear from Gary Glunt, though, coming up. Looking forward to that. Joe, good to see you this morning.
Good to see you, too.
All the best, and talk to you soon.
Yep.
relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney declared victory in Monday night's federal elections and promised to take a tough line with Washington.
Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
However, Carney's party failed to form a majority government. Preliminary results showed his Liberals were elected or leading in at least 164 electoral districts. That's just short of the 172 they needed to form a majority. That all means Carney will have to deal with US President Donald Trump's tariff threats without the mandate he hoped for. Canada's ties with its southern neighbor were a focus of Carney's campaign, as well as his victory speech.
President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen. When I sit down with President Trump, it will be to discuss the future economic and security relationship between two sovereign nations. And it will be with our full knowledge that we have many other options than the United States to build prosperity for all Canadians.
In another press briefing, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre conceded defeat to Carney's Liberals.
Yes, we will do our job to hold the government to account.
Poilievre's right-of-centre Conservatives at one time were riding high in the polls on voter anxiety about the cost of living, housing and crime. In January, the Liberals trailed them by 20 percentage points. Then came the resignation of unpopular former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, as well as the defining issue, threats of tariffs and annexation from Trump. That set off a wave of patriotic support for Carney and his party. Monday completes the Liberal turnaround. Last week, Trump re-emerged as a campaign factor, declaring he might raise a 25% tariff on Canadian-made cars. And in a social media post Monday, Trump again made his call for Canada to become the 51st state, saying he might use what he called economic force.
Hi, I'm Heather Roberts, and I'm running to be your next magisterial district judge. I was born and raised right here in Titusville and went on to earn a degree from Penn State University in crime, law, and justice. I began my career in victim services, working with survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, helping them to navigate the justice system with strength, compassion, and dignity. Today, I work as a paralegal in family and personal injury law. I'm a proud mom of 3, and my husband Jack and I are proud to call Titusville home. I humbly ask for your vote and your support on May 20th at the primary election. Thank you.
The Gordon B. Garrett Funeral Home has been serving the needs of Titusville and surrounding communities since 1965. Mr. Garrett believed in tradition and commitment to excellence, standards that have been passed down from one generation to now a new generation, who will work to provide you with a beautiful, lasting tribute to your loved one. When you need them, they will be there for you. This has been their foundation for almost 60 years. The Gordon B. Garrett Funeral Home, 303 North Washington Street in Titusville.
Anyone with a kind and generous heart and a little money can be a philanthropist. You too can be a force for good in our community, and the Crawford Heritage Community Foundation is here to help you make the most of your charitable giving. We've partnered with hundreds of people like you to make our world and our community a better place. You can give through us to support scholarships or any charitable organization or purpose. Whether you're interested in establishing a permanent endowment or adding to an existing fund, we want to be a part of your plan. Contact us when you're ready to make your mark. Together, we can make your contribution go further.
If you're looking for a professional massage therapist, Tranquil Moments Massage in Titusville is here for you. Ray and Rauch graduated from Slippery Rock University with a bachelor's degree in exercise and rehabilitative sciences with an emphasis in athletic training. Tranquil Moments offers a wide range of services, from Swedish massage to deep tissue, sugar scrubs to hot towel inclusion therapy. Like them on Facebook and visit their website to learn more about all the services they offer. Tranquil Moments Massage in Titusville.
Thinking about switching to 5G home internet? Think again. Unlike Zoom from Armstrong, 5G home internet is delivered by a cell tower. The further away you are, or the more devices connected to that tower, the slower your internet is. Cell phone providers also play favorites. When their network gets busy, cell phones win, and your home internet pays the price. Stick with Armstrong to get more data, more speed, and internet whenever you need it, not whenever they want. Armstrong, keeping you connected.
J. Gill Plumbing and Heating takes pride in being the premier heating and air conditioning service provider in the area. With over 30 years of experience, our highly skilled and certified technicians will work closely with you to address your heating and air conditioning repair, installation, or maintenance needs. Our team is dedicated to making your home the ultimate place of comfort. Call today to get a free estimate. We also offer financing options and membership opportunities that provide peace of mind and cost savings. Call J. Gill Plumbing and Heating today or visit them online 24/7 at jgillplumbingheating.com.
Sheer Design is Titusville's exclusive Paul Mitchell-focused salon. This full-service salon specializes in coloring, cuts, nails, and tanning. Owner Angela Saxon has over 20 years' experience as a Paul Mitchell professional. She and her licensed staff offer all cuts and styles for men and women of all ages. Call 814-827-0010 or stop in at 116 South Kerr Street in Titusville.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Levin, and I proudly own and operate Puppy Levin. Puppy Levin is a pet care salon dedicated to caring for your furry companions. We provide certified dog grooming services along with boarding and doggy daycare. Our facility is family-owned and operated and promise personalized care for every pet that comes through our doors. If you're worried about your furry friend being lonely when you're gone, we also have on-site personnel 24/7 just for their comfort. Follow us on Facebook and call or text us at 814-758-9259 to make an appointment today.
Share the fun of train travel and relive our country's oil history as you ride the OC&T through the valley that changed the world. Learn about the past while traveling on vintage cars. See a variety of wildlife with stops at Drakewell Park, Petroleum Center, and Oil Creek State Park. Arrive early and see the vast collection of train and railroad memorabilia at Perry Street Station. After the ride, enjoy a night stay at the Caboose Motel. For seasonal specials or for more information, visit octrr.org or call 814-676-1733.
Wall Street ended a choppy session barely changed on Monday, with the Dow adding about 0.3%, the S&P 500 finishing essentially flat, and the Nasdaq posting a fractional loss. Investors were awaiting key economic data and earnings from some of the largest U.S. companies. 4 of the so-called Magnificent Seven companies report results this week, including Apple, Amazon, Meta Platforms, and Microsoft. But Melissa Brown, Managing Director of Investment Decision Research at SimCorp, said it wasn't just earnings from those mega-cap tech giants that investors should be paying close attention to.
We have seen, people going out and buying cars. They probably have been going out and buying iPhones as well. But I think actually we're going to have to place a little bit more importance on the earnings of some non-Magnificent Seven companies, like the auto companies, because that's really, I think, going to tell us where the economy is likely to be headed. Apple, will probably have decent earnings no matter what.
Stocks on the move Monday included Nvidia, which ended 2% lower after the Wall Street Journal reported that China's Huawei Technologies was preparing to test its artificial intelligence processor, which it hopes can replace some of Nvidia's higher-end products. Shares of Boeing added almost 2.5%, helping to keep the Dow in positive territory after Bernstein raised the aircraft maker's stock rating and price target. And shares of Spirit Aerosystems advanced more than 2.5%, after Airbus reached a deal to take over some of the company's plants.
Well, let's take a look at that weather forecast for northwest Pennsylvania. Partly cloudy, scattered strong storms developing this afternoon. Damaging winds, large hail, possibility of a tornado with some storms, and temperatures today in the upper 70s. Thunderstorms this evening, skies turning partly cloudy after midnight. A few storms may be severe early, and lows in the upper 30s. Wednesday, mostly sunny, mid-60s. Thursday, 1st of May, some afternoon thunderstorms, upper 70s. Friday, wrapping up the work and school week with rain showers, upper 60s, and Saturday, rain with temperatures in the upper 50s. That is a look at your weather forecast as we take a quick look at the radar, and that red is bad. The green showers that we see starting out early this afternoon, changing to red, that's the severe part of the storms that are supposed to come through our area later today. Area temperatures, Meadville this morning at 65 degrees, Cambridge Springs, Edinburgh at 66, 63 in Titusville, 66 Franklin, 66 in Oil City. This is the Morning Drill. Well, Gary Glunt joins us this morning. Gary, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Luke.
Man, I'll tell you, since we've been having these conversations, I think almost every day something enters my view where I go, that's interesting. Gary talked about that. Or I wonder if what Gary would think about that. So it's having an effect on me, Gary.
Well, that's, my goal is I hope we can help as many people as possible, to understand, the basics, and it's a big topic. There's a lot of stuff, but we don't have to make it rocket science, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of folks want to make it rocket science, but it's not, and so, again, the more we can do to help people, the better.
So let's recap a little bit, because I've been hearing a lot of conversations now that, tax day is over. People are, I'm getting my tax return, can't wait to get it. I'm going to do this. And I'm thinking, there's other things you could do. So let's kind of recap what we talked about last time you were on.
All right.
And we'll go from there.
All right. So a quick little recap. So folks are getting their tax returns back. And now you got some choices that you can do with this money, hopefully, right? And we talked about, about doing a little combo with our money and making our money work for us. So, we said, well, let's put some of it into an interest-bearing account of some kind, and then have a little side gig of some kind, and that where we can add money to that, at least until we know what we really want to do with it, versus just spending it, because once you spend it, it's gone, and there's once you learn how money works, there's a point where you go, well, if I spend this money, I'm going to lose this opportunity over here. And now you don't spend as frequently, and you're like, oh, well, I can see what this is doing for me, right? So
can I say, this may be stupid, but does it kind of turn into something fun for somebody? And here's what I mean by that. When they get money and they buy something, it's that like instant gratification, right?
Yes.
But that can also apply to investments. When you see what it's doing for you, then it becomes challenging. It becomes sort of exciting. And
Absolutely.
You're going, hey, what if I do this, or what if I leave it here? So
Absolutely.
it can swing the other way.
And I think it does. And everything from just saying, hey, man, I can do this and I can do that, and this is a better opportunity, to being able to take advantage of other opportunities. And you look at that and you go, man, I can't believe I just spent this on nothing. And the other thing that is kind of a thing that I say, because I heard it from what was the name of the book? Let's see, one of my favorite books, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Okay, and in it it said, that make money work for you. Right? Okay. So what the old saying is, poor people work for their money, rich people, money works for them. And it's true. We're just not taught about finance, and I'm so glad, and I hope that our schools do it justice, right? And that, because Pennsylvania is now, like we said before, mandated that financial education must be in every high school in Pennsylvania, and that it has to be a standalone class. And I just hope that these folks do it justice, right? But there's fewer and fewer business teachers. When I taught my last 15 years, I didn't even have a business teaching student.
Wow.
And there were only 2 schools in Pennsylvania that I knew did the business education certificate, and Mercyhurst was one of them, and now they don't do it. So the only other one I know is IUP.
Well, I'm going to keep on the trend of asking you something stupid. Was there sort of not a stigma, but you had VOTEC kids, you had business kids. This is when I went. Mm-hmm. The reality is, everybody needs like all of that. Like everybody should be exposed to all of this. And at the time, I'm looking back thinking business, it seemed like that was for kids that wanted to do like accounting. And it's like, well, no, there's more to it than that. There's a lot more to it than that.
There is. But again, I grew up same time you did, right? And, I didn't, no one ever really talked to me about what VOTEC was. Okay. And I know we're getting off subject a little bit here, but if I'd have known what VOTEC was, I probably would have went to VOTEC, right? Because I enjoy that stuff. I enjoy making things and doing things, and I've always enjoyed that. You get that. You get in education, and I don't want to get on the education topic because we talk about that all day. It's too many times goes with the whims of what's happening politically, right? I know schools that got rid of their wood shops and their power shops. Utterly ridiculous, right? I mean, the reason I say that is, one, you have those kids that love that too. Everybody should know a little bit about that, right?
Right.
I mean, even if you're not a mechanic, don't want to be a mechanic, right? Boy, I hate when I go to the mechanic shop and they say, hey, you need this, and you're like, would I really need that? Right. And especially when they put the price tag on it, and so I wish we would just look at things in the aggregate, right? Where we can do all these different things. You can have financial education, you can have VOTEC education, you can have college education, and you could do it together.
Yeah,
but anyway,
you need to learn how to balance a checkbook, how to write a check. You need
absolutely
all this. I mean, we're talking basic things.
Right, and even more than that, we need to understand how it works. Right? And that you don't have to know everything about it, but you need to understand how it works. Now, I'm going to go off script here a little bit, right? But so, for instance, nobody tells you in life that there's certain ages that matter, right? And they don't tell you why they matter. So, example, age 55, right? Okay, so age 55, we're talking about retirement here, right? So, one of the keys about retirement is the sooner you get started on it, the better it is. Right? And you can wait too long and be in real trouble. Right? And okay, so, and we'll take a look at that with a chart that we have in our conversation here. But seriously, like if nobody thinks about it when they're 14, but when you're 14 and you can start working, if you do that, oh my gosh, can you set yourself up for a fantastic retirement, right? And before retirement. Now, why is 55 an issue? Because they changed the rule that now you can take money out of your 401k or your 403b, all right? For those 401ks are, I believe, for for-profit companies, where 403bs are for non-profit companies like schools and stuff like that. And you can start withdrawing money without a penalty if you leave it in the 401k or the 403b at your workplace. And so that's a new rule, right? So now if you're thinking about retiring early, hey, I got another piece of my puzzle here, right? Then 62, is another age, right? Because that's when you can start collecting Social Security. Okay, then 65 is kind of a number to think about, but 70 for most people is full retirement for Social Security, right? So so people don't say or tell you, well, you need to plan for that stuff, right? Because if you wait for 5 years before and you go, hey, I want to retire, and you haven't done anything, well, you could be in trouble. Yeah, depending on depending on where you work, how much you make, so on and so forth, right? And then early in life. So, one of the things about early in life that if you look at it, kids from the 14 age till they either get out of high school or get out of college, all right, they're sitting pretty, and they don't know they're sitting pretty. They think they're broke, right? And with all due respect, they're the richest teenagers that have ever existed in the United States, okay? But they don't, no one tells them about it, right? So if you can get a kid to start working and start putting a little bit of money away into retirement investments, they can retire way before the rest of us, and so, we talked about the 3 key factors, right? If you're going to make money through investing, which is just one part of the puzzle, okay? I'm a huge proponent of owning businesses. I'm a huge proponent of investing as maybe a silent partner in a business. If you ask me, that's where the real money's at, okay? Even better than investing, all right? But in the investing world, time, amount, and interest, right? Or rate of return, okay? And the reason we say rate of return versus interest is some like stocks don't give you interest, right? They give you a rate of return where a savings account gives you interest. But they use that number, so if they say stocks are making 10% a year, they use that number to correlate to interest-bearing activities. So time, who's got time on their side? Young people, right? I'm 57, and I hate to I don't get morbid here, but I don't have time on my side anymore, right? Okay, amount, right? So kids look at amount and they think I don't have any money. Oh my gosh, when you're 14, the only expenses you should have, I hope, is the ones you create for yourself, right? I hope you're not paying the rent. I hope you're not paying the bills. But if you are, that's not good. Okay, if you have, just an income coming in that you don't have to spend on anything but what you want to, oh, what a huge opportunity, right? And then you look at life and you go, okay, so when are the times when I'm not probably going to have money? Okay, and that's one, when you're in college, you're probably not going to have a lot of money because you can't work a lot. Right. Okay. And now you have some stuff that you might have to take care of. Right now you got maybe some loans. Maybe you have room and board and stuff you got to pay for.
$400 a book.
$400 a book, exactly. Right. And then when you first start working, I see this so often. You get that first big paycheck, right, and you think you are rich, and you can't act like you got to not act like you're rich because you're not. Right? You get that first real big paycheck and you have to act like you are the poorest person on earth. Because if you do that, you will set yourself up nice. Right? Okay. But they don't. And I didn't do it. Right? I remember I got my first big accounting paycheck, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is more money than I ever seen, right? And I was an idiot. I went goofy. I had 4 vehicles, right? One person, who needs 4 vehicles? Okay. Nobody explains this in life. Like, this is how life kind of normally works, right? Okay. So anyway, all right. So, we need to do that too. We need to explain, hey, here's the times in life that are important times in life that we need to plan for. Okay. And if we don't, the option is that it doesn't turn out as well. Okay. The old forest for the tree, right? Okay, yes. I can't see the forest because I'm right here, and here's the tree. And so anyway. But with that being said, all right, let's jump back to what we can do with our money, kind of thing, right? So there are a bunch of investment opportunities out there, right? And they all have their purposes, okay? So, like, when I talk about savings accounts and checking accounts and money market accounts and CDs and that kind of thing, right? There's a purpose for those, okay? And I don't want people to think from our conversations that they're bad. They just have their purpose, right? And one of their purposes is not to make money. All right, you're not going to make money in a savings account. You're not making money in a money market account. You're not making money in CDs. Okay, but that wasn't what they were meant for, right? Okay, so back to we talked about the rule of 72, right? So if you take the rule of 72, and the rule of 72 says that if you take your interest or rate of return and divide it into 72, that tells you how long it's going to take your money to double, right? So if, savings accounts and checking accounts, and this makes me sick, are like under 1%. And that should not be, right? That is, when we grew up, were they ever under 1%? No, right? So 72 divided by 1. 72 years, your money's going to double. Good luck making money like that, right? Okay. So where do you make the money at through investing, right? Okay. Well, here you go. So now we have our $1,000 or our income tax return, correct? Okay. And you make money in mutual funds, right? That's where we go to, we make money mutual funds, we make money stocks, we make money owning businesses, right? Junk bonds, different stuff that has more of a risk, okay? And there's the trade-off, right? Okay? Here's your trade-off. That if I stay safe, I usually don't make a ton of interest or rate of return. If I get a little bit more risky of losing my money, okay, then I get a better return, okay? And so these things give you a little better return, and maybe a lot better return, but there's risk of losing your money. Okay. Yeah. Now, but so, and I want to state that because you can. I mean, the stock market right now, right? Okay. A lot of people lost a lot of money, right? Okay. But the more you learn about how it works, time, right? Time is a key factor. Right? If you look at stock market in the short aggregate, okay, man, it's hard. If you don't know what you're doing, right? If you're not somebody who watches it every day and you have a plan and you are a broker and you're a financial manager, right? If you're not that person, man, it's about as risky as you can get playing the stock market in the short term. Okay, now. If you're not that person, and I'm not that person, like I don't sit there and watch the stock market every day, but if you look at how it works, and I look at time, right? There's an old thing called safety in numbers, right? Yep. Okay. So, and that's the whole concept of a mutual fund, right? Yeah. So the words mutual and fund. Mutual meaning we get a bunch of people together and put our money together, and we invest it into funds, okay, into something, right? And they can invest into anything. Right? They don't have to just be stocks that they invest in. They can invest in bonds. They can invest in CDs. They can invest in money markets, right? And whatever you do. But so let's say this, okay? Number one, I want to put this out there, all right? When I talk about this, you should never use money that you absolutely need to invest in the stock market, all right? Golden rule is use the money that you don't need, all right? And people say, well, geez, I need all my money, okay? Well, then if that's the case, don't go out there and be buying pop, right? Yeah. That's, what is it? An iced tea at McDonald's is $2.19 for an iced tea, right? Don't be buying, that $1,000 cell phone. So if every bit of money you need, there's always a little bit that you don't need, that you're going to waste on something, right? Let's change that, right? So that $1,000 you got back from the IRS, okay? So, if you blow it, it's gone, okay? Apparently you didn't need it, okay? All right, now let's take a look, all right? So you got the chart popped up there, right? So on the top are some scenarios, okay? And you can make whatever scenario up you want, okay? And this is nothing that's hard to do. I go to Google, right, or whatever, and Google compound interest calculator, all right? And then start punching your numbers in, and it'll tell you what you're going to make, okay? So up top, all right, is us being safe, all right? So I'm putting it into a 4% account, okay? And here's the good news. They're starting to come back around.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so you can now get some 4%, all right? And there was always a golden rule was this. If you can get money for less than 4%, we called it free money, all right? Because you could always invest it in something else that could get you more money, okay? So 4% was the kind of the go-to back in the day. But what happened, and I get why it happened, but our economy forced us into the stock market, okay? Because you couldn't get a 4% savings account anymore. You couldn't get a 4% CD for the last, I don't know how many years, 10, 15, 20 years, because interest rates have been so low, okay? And so the only place you could go to make money was the stock market. So we went to the stock market, right? And we went to the stock market, most of us in mutual funds, all right? Now, so if you look at the top part, okay, and there's nothing wrong with this, okay? So I took my $1,000 return I got from the IRS, threw it into a 4% account, and I said, you know what? I can put $150 a month. This is the green part, and I can take $150 a month into a 4% account, and this is what I would have over time. No risk. I am going to get that. Okay? I'm in my 4% account. I'm not worried about losing my money. Okay? So now, you say, all right, let's say now I want to make it go faster, right? So our three key factors: time, amount, and interest. So interest isn't going to change. Time is what we know we got, right? And so our effect that we can do is we can amount. So now we do a side gig, right? So I think I said about donating plasma, right? My buddy makes $500 a month donating plasma in Erie, So, all right, so I pretended like I was him, okay? And I didn't even put all 500 in, right? I said, you know what? Let's put 350 of that in. Let's make our deposit 500 now a month, okay? And now, you bump up your numbers significantly, okay? And now, you know what? You're like, oh, you know what? Okay, so I'm donating plasma. Well, what if I can add some more money into that? Okay, well, what can I do? What else can I do, right? Well, I got a buddy who collects metal and takes it into the metal shop, right? So now I donate plasma or I think he has to do twice a month, right? Okay, yeah. And now I collect scrap and I take it into the, and now I got my other, $500. Okay, and now being safe, if I'm 30, let's see, if I'm a young kid, I just started my job, and let's say I'm 25, at 55, I'm sitting on $700,000.
Wow.
And that's being safe, right? So now let's move to the next step. Let's say, all right, you know what? I want to make more return, right? So in our first scenario, let me do some quick math here. 72 divided by 4. What are we looking at here? Looking at 20. What is it? 19. Let me do some quick math here. I can't do it in my head. So 72 divided by 4. All right, 18. Okay. So your money's going to double every 18 years in that 4% account. All right. So now I'm going to go to a mutual fund. Okay. All right. And then there's all different types of mutual funds, okay? So I picked one called the Vanguard 500 Index, okay? And I like this fund. I'm not saying go get it, but I like it, all right? And it has averaged 11% since, I believe, either 67 or 76.
Wow.
Okay? And one of the things about trying to, figure out, what to invest in, time. So here's a fund that's been through the crap, right? It's been through the Reagan recession, right? It's been through the 2008 housing crisis, right? It's been through the bad stuff, all right? So it knows how to handle the bad stuff, apparently, okay? So I look at it and I go, all right, so it's averaging 11% a year, okay? So now if I take 72 and I divide that by 11, my money's doubling every 6.5 years. I'm making money.
Yes, you are.
You with me?
Yeah.
All right. So now we're making money. Okay. Now, are there going to be bad years? Oh, yeah. If you got it right now, I guarantee it's not doing good right now. All right. Because the Vanguard 500 follows the top 500 stocks in the stock market. And if the stock market isn't doing good, it ain't doing good. Right. So right now, it's taking a hit. All right. And so that's why there's always a risk of losing your money. Okay. But again, you have to plan, right? Okay. So one of my golden rules in planning is this. When I'm within a 15-year period of needing my money, okay, I now want to move that money. I want to get that out of this risky stuff, and I want to slide it into something that isn't risky, okay? So looking here, back to our same scenario, okay, that just with the $150, okay, a month, all right, with my $1,000 tax return in there, in 30 years, I have now accomplished what I would have accomplished with $500 a month, okay, at the 4%, all right? Now, I bounce over, I go donate some plasma. In 30, I'm $1 million. So how many kids, if they're 24 years old, right, and you say, all right, when you are 54, you're going to have $1 million. Who's saying no? I hope nobody, right? I hope nobody, okay? Now, again, you got it. You can, if you watch it every day, no, right? You got to sit and you got to let it ride. And you let it ride till you are happy with the amount of money that you have, and then you move it to where the safety is, right? So now you move it, instead of a mutual fund invest in stocks, we slide it over to a mutual fund and invest in savings accounts, CDs, money markets. Yeah, you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's investing. That's where we make money, right? And is it, people say, oh, can you get 10%? The answer is, yeah, you can get 10%. Okay. You just have to look for it. Okay. And again, it's risky, right? And by risky, I mean, you can lose your money. So you put money into it that you don't worry about, right? That you don't care, that you're going to blow anyway. All right. And so,
planting seeds, Gary. You're planting seeds.
I hope we're planting some seeds here, right?
Yeah.
But that's like, mutual funds is a topic in itself. That again, it's not all that complicated. Okay. But if you don't know about it, then it looks really complicated, right? Okay.
Well, doing a good job breaking it down. Greatly appreciate it. We'll have to continue.
I hope so.
Yeah. Gary, good to see you.
Nice to see you too, Luke.
Thanks.
Have a good day, everybody.